Imagine being able to influence crowds, shape ideas, and inspire change with nothing but the power of words. Throughout history, there have been figures who mastered this art like few others, able to persuade, captivate, and even transform people's thinking during critical moments. From leaders who inspired revolutions to thinkers who challenged the status quo, each used persuasion not just to express their ideas, but to steer society's course. In this video, we'll dive into the techniques, passion, and impact of history's 5 most persuasive arguers. Get ready to uncover what made them so influential and how their skills remain a powerful source of inspiration for all of us. Aristotle, the 4th century BCE Greek philosopher, was a central figure in the development of Western thought and created a foundational work on persuasion known as rhetoric. He identified 3 essential elements for effective persuasion: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is the speaker's credibility or character, which helps gain the audience's trust. Pathos is the emotional appeal used to influence the audience's feelings. And logos is the use of logic and reason to present solid arguments. Aristotle's influence was immense because he was the first to systematize rhetoric as an effective communication tool, not only in public speeches, but also in debates and writing. His approach showed how the 3 pillars work together, suggesting that to persuade someone, it's not enough to be logical. You must also earn trust and move the audience emotionally. This understanding has been applied to this day, especially in areas like marketing, politics, and law. Aristotle also analyzed language style, believing that word choice is crucial for an argument's impact. He emphasized rhythm, clarity, and the order of ideas, teaching that effective rhetoric depends on how the message is conveyed, not just its content. His teachings had a profound impact during the Renaissance, when scholars rediscovered his works, applying his ideas to speeches, literature, and even government principles. To this day, Aristotle's rhetoric is essential reading for any study of persuasion and communication. Cicero was one of Rome's greatest orators and advocates, known for his command of rhetoric and his ability to use language to influence the political and social decisions of his time. His works, like the Orator, offer deep insight into oratory and demonstrate how he combined logic and emotion to build powerful arguments. Cicero believed that a good speaker should be well-educated, intelligent, and virtuous, using these qualities to positively influence society. In many of his speeches, he employed a technique called amplification, emphasizing certain aspects of an argument to create a lasting and dramatic impression. His style was marked by a strong sense of morality, which he deemed fundamental to any persuasive speaker. However, Cicero's career was marked by highs and lows. He lived during a turbulent period in the Roman Republic, and his strong political opinions made him powerful enemies, including Julius Caesar. Nonetheless, his oratory skills earned him a seat in the Senate and a reputation that has endured through the ages. Cicero's contributions to rhetoric were widely studied during the Renaissance, and many lawyers and politicians continue to be inspired by his approach. He is remembered as one of the greatest advocates for the ethical use of persuasion. Winston Churchill, the iconic British Prime Minister during World War II, became famous for his inspiring speeches and skillful use of language to unify and motivate the British people. Amid the chaos of war, his words uplifted the morale of a nation ravaged by conflict and helped to forge an image of resilience against Axis forces. Churchill's oratory style was clear, energetic, and rich in visual metaphors. He understood that words could offer hope in times of despair. In speeches like "We shall fight on the beaches," he used simple yet emotionally charged language to reinforce an unwavering commitment to fight to the very end. His rhetoric centered on courage and determination, encouraging the British to resist, no matter the odds. Beyond being a speaker, Churchill was also an award-winning writer, whose engaging prose added depth to his words. In 1953, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature, recognizing the persuasive and artistic power of his writing. Churchill knew that, in times of crisis, the right words could make all the difference. His speeches are still studied today as prime examples of oratory in times of crisis, where persuasion is used to unite and strengthen a nation. Martin Luther King Jr., a leader of the civil rights movement in the United States, Martin Luther King Jr. used his eloquence to challenge racial injustice and promote equality. His "I Have a Dream" speech became a landmark moment in history, immortalizing his vision of an America where all people are judged by their character rather than the color of their skin. King combined logic with emotion to create a lasting impact. He employed biblical analogies and references to the Declaration of Independence, connecting his arguments to American and universal values, which resonated deeply with both black and white audiences. His ability to evoke empathy and morality was one of the reasons he successfully mobilized large crowds in support of the movement. King's oratory techniques centered around an engaging rhythm, using repetition and crescendos to amplify his words. He also adopted a nonviolent approach inspired by Gandhi, demonstrating how persuasion can be used to foster peaceful change. Martin Luther King Jr. is remembered as one of the greatest speakers of the 20th century, whose message of equality and justice continues to resonate today. His persuasive style was both inspiring and transformative, showcasing the power of words in times of great social need. Nelson Mandela, an icon in the struggle against apartheid in South Africa, used his argumentative skills and charisma to unite a divided nation. Spending 27 years in prison for resisting apartheid, he emerged advocating for reconciliation instead of revenge, surprising the world and inspiring millions. Mandela had a remarkable ability to listen to and understand his adversaries, which allowed him to find common ground for peace. He recognized that achieving peace required careful persuasion and used his communication skills to build bridges. In his speeches, Mandela addressed themes of forgiveness and unity, emphasizing the importance of coming together as a nation, regardless of racial differences. After becoming South Africa's first black president, Mandela symbolized transformation and resilience. He used rhetoric to unite and motivate, persuading even his former opponents to support a new era of reconciliation and harmony. Mandela is remembered for his peaceful and visionary approach, making him not just a great leader, but a universal example of how persuasion can create a more just and compassionate world. Socrates, one of the greatest philosophers and debaters of ancient Greece, was born in Athens around 470 BC. He stood out for his unique ability to question the certainties of others, prompting his interlocutors to reflect deeply on what they truly knew or did not know. His technique, known as the Socratic method, relied on a series of questions and answers aimed at deconstructing established concepts, leading people to examine their own beliefs. Socrates famously stated, "I only know that I know nothing," suggesting that true knowledge arises from doubt and self-reflection. For him, the pursuit of truth was a personal and collective journey toward wisdom. Unlike the sophists, who offer rhetorical training for persuasive purposes, Socrates sought truth above any manipulative technique. He viewed rhetoric as a means of distorting thought, advocating instead for a commitment to authenticity and moral integrity. Socrates believed that true knowledge was intrinsically linked to ethics, asserting that a genuine understanding of oneself and the world required a life guided by virtue rather than superficial knowledge or empty persuasion. This commitment to ethics and the pursuit of purity, moral excellence, distinguished him as a principled figure. However, his critical stance and questioning of social values made Socrates a controversial figure in Athens, ultimately leading to his trial on charges of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the city's gods. Faced with the possibility of exile, he chose to confront the trial and uphold his philosophical integrity. During the proceedings, Socrates argued that his role was to question and challenge accepted truths to help the city achieve a more virtuous life. Unfortunately, this defense did not save him, and he was sentenced to death by poisoning with hemlock, which he accepted with serenity and resolve. Socrates' death became a symbol of moral and ethical resistance, with his final sacrifice testament to his commitment to philosophy and his principles. He believed that an unexamined life was not worth living, and his death rather than silencing his voice, solidified his legacy as a model of intellectual and ethical integrity. The impact of his ideas was immense, inspiring generations of thinkers such as Plato and Aristotle, and continuing to influence Western philosophy to this day. In concluding the discussion on these great persuasive figures, we observe that they all shared fundamental characteristics that made them memorable and influential in their respective fields. First, they were masters of clear and impactful communication. They knew how to construct narratives that resonated with people and understood the importance of tailoring their messages to maximize impact. Their ability to see the world from others' perspectives allowed them to shape their words so that audiences felt understood and, in many cases, inspired to take action. Another common trait was authenticity. Each of these figures advocated for their ideas with genuineness, connecting to deep values that transcended personal interests. Whether fighting for social justice, envisioning a better future, or defending fundamental rights and freedoms, they approached their causes with passion, enhancing their persuasive power and creating lasting emotional connections with their audiences. For those watching and wishing to develop their own persuasive skills, the encouragement is clear. The key lies in communicating with clarity, authenticity, and empathy. Arguing is not just about winning a debate. It's about fostering understanding, driving change, and often enabling transformation. If you aspire to positively influence the world around you, draw inspiration from these remarkable examples. Strive to speak from the heart and commit to understanding the needs and feelings of your listeners. True persuasion emanates from a place of empathy and integrity, where your voice can be not just heard but respected and remembered.